Welcome back. It's time now for our Bulldog conversation. I'm Brad Radisi. We're talking men's basketball here. The season is just underway, and the voice of the Bulldogs, Mike Grace, was able to catch up with head coach Scott Padgett. We begin the conversation with Coach Padgett talking about the difference between year one going into year two.
Well, what's really nice is we actually have some returning players that's played in the system, so they can help on the court with guys who haven't been here. Last year, obviously, it was 15 guys being coached in a whole new way. Of those 15, you had 8 new guys, so they hadn't played together and hadn't played my system, so it was a lot of learning. And obviously, there's still learning to do, but we have a lot more experience in the system with the returning guys.
I would think that extends beyond your roster to your coaching staff, too. To have everybody back in their roles has got to be a plus going into this year.
Well, it's been huge. I think those guys have obviously done a great job in recruiting, but I think they know, obviously, my style even more now after a year and what their roles are and are comfortable and confident in those roles now also.
Let's talk about what does return. In backcourt, you got the combination of Kristen Cunningham, guy who was up for the SoCon Freshman of the Year award last year, certainly could have won it, and Darius Jones-Gibson, who was an MVP-type player most of the year. Talk about having those two guys back.
Well, I think, and obviously I'm biased, but I think I got the best backcourt in the league. Last year, obviously, CC was the guy who set the table for everybody. He's the head of our offense, and he's my coach on the court. Darius is that fearless guy. He attacks the rim. He gets to the free throw line. He finishes. He makes big plays. He's what makes us go in our press because of his effort on the ball and really getting those guys sped up. He's the guy that's got to be a lockdown defender for us this year, and I think he has a chance to be an all-league guy this year.
You look at what you did lose last year, Scott, and a couple of seniors, especially Tyler Hood and Michael Bradley, played a lot of minutes, produced a lot of points. I think 23 points a game is now gone from this roster. What will you miss most about those guys? Is it the production or is it the experience and the leadership they provide?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously our leading rebounder was Mike, and our dead-eye shooter was Tyler Hood. So you're going to miss some scoring and rebounding from both. So I think the biggest thing is they came ready to play every day. They worked hard every day, and that set the tone for the rest of our team. So now somebody, and it's going to have to be more than one person, but somebody else is going to have to step up and provide that leadership.
I look at the roster and see 3 guys who played significant minutes last year, either as starters or as reserve roles. Marcus Johnson, Jamal Shabazz, Alex Peters as well, who played a lot in the post for you last year. Talk about those guys returning and what they bring back to the table.
Well, I think Marcus gives you that guy who can play 2 positions, made big shots for us last year, obviously hitting a game winner at ETSU, hit some other big shots late in games. He brings energy and toughness off the bench. He gives you that versatility of being able to play either spot, so you can always have a lineup with him, either him, Darius, or CC in the game at all times, really. So that gives you a lot of confidence when you have that much experience on the floor. I think you look at Alex Peters, I think he might be the guy who makes the biggest jump this year. He went from about 200 pounds last year to start the season to now he's at about 225. He really understands his role, and he's worked on his offensive game, which now, I think last year when you're struggling offensively, it's hard to have him on the floor. Now I don't think you have to sit him now when it's that way. He's by far our best big defender.
Bring in, I think, 7 newcomers, 4 freshmen, 3 transfers as well. Let's start with Eamon Johnson, who comes into us after graduating from Maryland Eastern Shore, and a kind of guy that can make an impact quick.
Well, I think what he is he's kind of that great versatile glue piece where he can guard probably literally anybody on the court 1 through 5. He's a great rebounder. He's got a big-time knack for the offensive boards. He can run the floor well and finish in transition. You can throw him the ball in the post and he can get a bucket. He can take people off the dribble and finish, or he can take people off the dribble and make a play. So if he's playing one of those forward spots between the 3 and the 4, you might be able to post him versus 3s. You might be able to ISO him versus 4s. So he gives you a lot of versatility, and he's going to be a big-time weapon for us.
thanks to Coach Padgett and Mike Grace. That's our Bulldog Conversation. More right after this, right here on the Sanford Sports Network.